Self-Aware Millennial.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Just finishing out the school year. For those of you that don't know, I am a school teacher. I teach high school computer science. So we're doing these, they're called STEM Ed sessions. And what we're doing is it's like a professional development that helps us, learn to teach our kids in a better way. So that's how I'm doing.
Nice. And Jamie, just so that the listeners are aware, I think we've just we kind of unofficially started, but what do you do?
My name's Jamie Bernstein. I live here in New Orleans. I'm a musician, songwriter. I was a bartender before the COVID hit, and likely I'll be a bartender again. But right now, that job is pretty much dead. But I'm also a social activist. I do a radio show on WHIV FMLP on Monday afternoons. It's a community radio dedicated to human rights and social justice. So I'm just glad to be here to sort of add an extra layer of perspective to your discussion about vagina-owning periods.
Yes, appreciate it. And Nicholas, just because I was curious, how's things been? You're in Houston, right?
How's my what in Houston?
Are you in Houston?
Yeah, I'm in Houston.
How are things there right now with the climate and all that? This is basically a little ahead of us with our recovery, or at least I thought y'all were.
Yeah, well, Houston, as you know, Texas in general was one of the first states to reopen their economy locally in certain cities, and people I know you've seen the news where they say that there's a spike in coronavirus cases. Mm-hmm. And that's due to, people, reopening the economy and then showing up to stores and whatnot. Because I live 5 minutes away from this big mall called the Galleria over here in Houston.
Yeah.
And that's where people were just massed together and still inside the mall. Just some with masks on, some with masks off. And yeah, now I think it's just gonna pick back up again with the cases and whatnot. As far as death tolls, I don't know. I saw that they're working on a vaccine, but here in Houston, I used to do Uber a lot, and I stopped doing it. I just would do Uber Eats, but the climate and how everything's going over here, it's trying to get back to normal, but I don't think it's going to happen back to the way that people imagine it would be.
Oh yeah, we're definitely not going back. We're going forward, and we're just hoping not to go. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get started, just so that we can move things along a little bit. But as we know, and if you're just joining us, we're talking about this is going to be the final episode of our period series, and I really wanted to kind of close out on a perspective of having penis owners come on and just give me and all vagina owning persons a chance to answer any questions that y'all have and everything. But first, because I've been doing a lot of surveys with penis owners. I've done some with the vagina owners, and they've been great. I mean, I had a very large response from them as well. But I really wanted to focus on the penis owners just for the sheer fact that the whole situation with patriarchy and the reasoning why periods in general are difficult to, or kind of hushed and not talked about. So I wanted to make sure that this is becoming more normalized, because especially even with Jamie and Nick's, current situations, and I don't want to call them situations, blessings, y'all have vagina owning people in your lives. So if you're going to have a vagina owning person in your life, you need to know these important things about what's going on that we don't always necessarily talk about with everybody, because it's still in a way taboo, and it shouldn't be. As I was saying with Aaron on the other episode, I mean, he has folks that he knows that's making paintings out of period blood, so it's like, you know, it's fascinating. So,
that whole period blood painting thing is kind of a common trope in the art world now. You know, it was pretty fresh back in the 70s. There was a woman who was doing it, who got pretty famous doing it.
Good.
But you know, it's some way that people often find to express themselves. It was interesting. I thought that you covered it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, while we're on the subject of period blood, have y'all seen period blood before?
Of course. Yeah. Nick, do you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it, you know, come from a girlfriend. I've never seen it from my mom at all. I've seen it on like a colleague before. I guess, you know, it just started and she didn't notice, and I had to tell her because she was about to, you know, go out in public. This was in college. And, you know, I saw a spot on the back of her leg, like near her butt, and I was like, oh, should I tell her? I was like, let me just save her the heartache, you know, and I just went ahead, you know.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting? You say that, and I'm like, if it wasn't embarrassing to just show off that maybe, oh, you got a spot on your, like, a blood spot, like, on your butt or whatever, showing off, like, if that were more normalized, like, would we even have to be, like, more discreet about it? I mean, obviously, we got a long way to go before it does become normal, but, like, if you really think about it, it's like, yeah.
I remember one of the first times that I really saw period blood. I was sitting playing cards with my sister, and she had a particular heavy day, and she started like bleeding on the corner of my bed, and she was like, "Oh my God!" And then she took my sheets and washed them for me. It was you know, it was interesting, but it wasn't too shocking for me because, you know, I was kind of raised by my mom, and she was a very liberated sort of hippie woman. So I can't remember a time in my life where I did not know that women got their periods.
Good. So when you saw it, you were like, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah. It wasn't like, oh my God, were you stabbed? No.
Right. Oh my gosh, sorry. I just had like all the things in my head just now, just thinking about that. Like, I mean, technically, I'm gonna get into that later, but like, it does kind of feel that way sometimes. Like, not like necessarily like in that little area, but like, you know, a little closer into like inside. Like, but I'll go into that later. So, have y'all been around women who have openly, well, I mean, Jamie just kind of answered this, but have you been around women who have openly discussed the contents of their period in front of you? And if so, what do you remember them saying? If there were any instances.
I remember a conversation about it, but I don't recall the exact details. But they didn't get into like the nitty gritty of it. They were just saying like, oh, if I have a heavy day, I use this product, or oh, if I'm feeling a certain way, I'll, you know, just stay at home, you know, certain things like that. And is it a case of like, you know, our society and how we view periods? I don't, yes and no. One of my questions is, you know, should we hold vagina owners to a certain standard of hygiene when it comes to periods? Like just because I see period blood, like, am I okay to be grossed out about it in public? You know, because
right,
like I'm not gonna say I'm like squeamish at blood. Like I can't stand like throw up over anything. Like, I don't mind seeing blood, but the reason I'm not a doctor is because I don't want to see stuff from inside your body outside of your body. You know what I'm saying? So is that an okay thing to do?
I mean, I think it varies person to person. When it comes to like hygiene, though, like I think, yeah, like especially on the vagina owning end, like in order for things to keep from escalating or like bleeding through, like it's very important to continue like not ritually, you know, like consistently changing out whatever you're wearing depending on what it is that you're using to, like, during your period, because there's so many things now, like pads, tampons are like the two biggest ones that a lot of vagina owners use, but like there's also menstrual discs, there's diva cups, which is what I have, and like there's other things. So thankfully there are other, and I guess I should also say that there are vagina owners that take birth control as well to like make their periods lighter, like to alter the flow of their period a little bit. It just depends.
You know, that sort of leads into one of my questions about it. You know, I've noticed that dating many girls in my lifetime that when they get their cycles, that sometimes it really affects them emotionally and physically, but that somehow the birth control changes that, but not necessarily always for the better.
Yes.
Sometimes it has some very strange side effects. It causes them to gain weight or have emotional mood swings, or you know, just sort of lose control a little bit in their of their own sort of mental capacity or something like that. You know, and I just, you know, have always thought that it was kind of weird that women would voluntarily remove themselves from their natural sort of way of being. What do you think about that?
You're talking about in regards to birth control, right?
In regards to birth control, yeah. Do you feel that you feel like maybe a little more centered or when you're not on birth control, or a little more sort of like normal when you're not on birth control, that birth control might be manipulating your mood somehow?
Well, in the beginnings of birth control, at least from my recollection of it, there's a lot of vagina owners that, I mean, if there was a way for us to still have sex unprotected, technically, and not have to worry about getting pregnant, like that's just kind of something that everybody, vagina owners and penis owners, are willing for each other to, depending, like if they're partnered up, like if that's something that they're willing to
trade off.
Risk. Yeah, it's the trade-off. As for the side effects, I mean, like it's depending on the birth control, because things have gotten a lot better since then. Like the one that I'm on personally is the copper IUD, and I don't really experience any moody side effects or anything.
Did you experience any pain? Because I know that my wife tried a copper IUD for a while, and it was very painful for her.
It was very painful at the beginning, and when it comes to like when my period actually does come, it's definitely a lot more, the cramps are a lot harder, and I would also say I bleed for a longer time than I normally do, but honestly, it's still really, like, again, it's the trade-off. I know that I don't have to worry about
right.
I don't have to worry about
baby.
having well, it's like a 99 or 98% chance that I won't like I won't get pregnant. So it's really nice to just have that reassurance. It kind of makes me, especially when it comes to just the act of sex, it's like, it's so much. I remember, like, before I was on birth control, like, I would just always worry, and I can't even, like, think about, like, where I'm, like, the act. I can't even think about, like, the person that's in front of me, and, like, because I'm thinking about, oh, shoot, like, what should I do? Like, which positions could we do? Because, you know, I'm worried about getting, pregnant. So I'm just, like, it's one of those things in the back of my mind. I can't fully commit myself to the person that's right in front of me because I'm worried about what's going to happen afterwards, And there's just been so many, especially the stigma on, like, television, and, like, I know with 16 and Pregnant and everything, like those television shows where it was like these vagina owners would have sex with these guys or these penis owners, and then they wouldn't even be around afterwards for the repercussions of what they did, especially if they didn't, they weren't planning to have a child. So it's like we have to consider all of that into the equation. And I'll just couple that back to say that, I mean, it's one of the positives of knowing that you're going to get your period. It's like, you don't have to worry about that. So like, people are like, oh, periods, they're almost seen as a negative thing. But I think of us, honestly, for me, at this point in my life, I find it positive. I know there's a lot of vagina owners out there, especially if they're trying to conceive and they get their period and they're like, oh, shoot, you know, like it's discouraging. But I guess it just depends on the time of your life. Yeah.
Would you urge your partner, if there was a male birth control pill, would you urge them to take the birth control?
Yeah, we've had this conversation already. And he said he was for it, and I really hope that there's a male birth control, because honestly, I mean, if you really think about it, like evolutionary, or I don't know, like humans, like penis owners can literally impregnate as many people as they want in 9 months. Once that vagina owner gets pregnant, that's it. It's just that one, or whoever, however many decide to develop inside them. But yeah, so it's like males should really be the ones that have the birth control, not women, or males, you know, vagina owners. Just so y'all know, listeners, y'all understand what I'm talking about, and I'm trying my best to use penis owners and vagina owners, but I will slip up and say men and women, but I hope you understand what I mean when I say that. So yeah. Oh wait, what you said, Nick?
You mind if I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
So, regarding sex, would you say that, because you said that you like thinking about the consequence of sex, right? Which was like a baby, and you can't focus on the person.
Yeah.
Would you say that people should, you know, just accept that as you know, a consequence of sex? You know, I mean, that's what it's for, like biologically.
It is. Yeah.
Because like whenever I have sex with my girlfriend, I'm just thinking like, a baby could pop out in 9 months right after this moment. I'm like, I'm cool with it. You know, I gotta be cool with it, because like, I think if people, just my opinion, I think if people engage in sex, they should definitely expect that as a consequence at some point. Because I don't understand when people are just like, oh, it's just like a recreational thing. I'm like, oh, I understand that you use it as a recreational thing, but you know, because it's enjoyable, it's fun. I mean, if sex was unenjoyable, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't have as many people on this earth as possible.
Right.
But yeah, I was just wondering, like, do you think people should expect that as a consequence at all times?
People should. Okay, so yeah, I can clarify that for you. People should definitely expect it if they're going to have completely unprotected sex, for sure. I know for me, when I started having sex, we were using condoms, but I was still worried. I'm like, oh shoot, what if it breaks? Like, you know, like, it's one of those things. Like, I'm definitely just trying to, like, especially when I was younger, I was just trying to get into it and get used to it and just like understand like that end of procreation, I guess. But like, as for the recreational part, like, I think, especially, and I will definitely be talking about this in like later episodes, when it comes to just the whole act of, yes, having sex for recreation and the different things you can do recreationally, sexually. There are people like myself that like to explore that. So having the protection to do that and know that you won't necessarily, I mean, we are aware that there will be consequences, but it's almost like the experience of it all is almost worth it, if that makes sense. Does it kind of help? Does that kind of answer?
Yeah, that answers the question. Yeah, it was just I definitely appreciate that answer, because yeah, I feel like some people are just, at times, they're a bit disingenuous about the fact that like oh, I didn't do it to make babies. Or like, we know that, but if you participate in something that makes babies,
exactly. Yeah, it's
you should be ready for it.
It's the only way it happens. I mean, there's scientifically other ways now, but like, for the most part, like, that's the.
We don't have no test tube babies over here.
Right. So I'm gonna go to
but there is a lot of sex that goes on that there is no chance of procreation. I mean, that's especially in this time with so many strange gender norms going on.
Exactly.
That, sex is not necessarily always about procreation, because, I mean, if two men or two women are having sex, or two penis owners or vagina owners, are matching up, there's no chance of having a baby there, but there is some chance of having some hot sex.
Yes. Love it. Okay. Next question. I love it. Oh my God, that was great. Have you gone to the store alone and bought feminine products for the vagina owners in your life before?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any trouble?
It wasn't necessarily the thing that I wanted to put on the counter. I think I probably bought like some beer or something, so it was
to go with it.
I have yet to purchase stuff like that. If I ever go to the grocery store, it's usually with my significant other. So, I mean, there's no shame in it either if I had to. But yeah, I always like to go to the store with my significant other. So
cool. May I ask y'all? Do y'all know what these products look like in the store? Like if you saw it, you'd be like, oh, that's a pad. That's a tampon, that's a menstrual disc. It also. I mean,
yes, but I'll tell you, even the time that I went and bought them for my significant other, I got the wrong ones. So I mean, even though I know what a tampon was, it's like there's a bunch of different types.
What did you get instead?
I mean, I got tampons, but they just weren't like the right brand or the right size or whatever the parameters were that she wanted for that particular thing.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'm curious because I was I don't know if you were following my Facebook, but there was a lot of vagina owners in the comments. They were commenting about how I guess a lot of, and not that y'all have to know, but it's probably good, especially if you're going grocery shopping and you're picking up period products for your vagina owner, to know the different types or what to look for if you're looking for a specific thing. So I'm just going to focus on tampons right now. So y'all know with tampons, there's different sizes, and there's usually letters on the little, well, I should say from the box itself, it'll tell you normally what's inside of it. It'll say usually regular. It's just a regular one. Sometimes they have a light one, so small for people who have small periods or light periods. But there's that, there's the regular, and then there's almost like a super, if that makes sense. Does it kind of make sense? So for people that have heavy flow, but they want to put it in a tampon. And do y'all even know what tampons are? Do y'all know what they look like?
Yeah, I know what they are, but then I've seen 4 different shapes of them, and I don't understand why they're shaped different ways.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's different types in the way that they've constructed it. It just, everybody has their own different ways. It's kind of I don't know, how there's different microphones, but they all do the same thing in a way. Different shapes of microphones or whatnot. It's just they're the way that they designed it to go inside.
Right.
So, yeah, so I hope that kind of helped. If you have any more questions about that, just let me know. I'll probably be better just showing you or sending you a gram about what it actually is. I could probably just go grab one and be like, this is what it looks like. Actually, that's what I should have done. But because of time, I'm not going to do that. But y'all got vagina owners. They can show you. I don't know if I should ask that question. I'm curious. I'm asking. Are y'all aware of what vagina owners use in place of period products if they don't have any handy?
No.
You don't? Okay. Clearly. Okay, so this is what I used to do when I was younger. Or I don't do it as much anymore, but if you're in an emergency, you literally just go to the bathroom and you grab all the toilet paper and you just stuff it. You kind of place it neatly. And if you ever seen a pad, what I normally do is I'll just fold it, make it almost look like a pad, and then put it in my underwear so that it doesn't like seep through the rest of my clothes that I'm wearing. And these are all icebreaker questions, by the way. We haven't even gotten into it. The last thing I wanted to ask y'all is if you are aware, and this is just so that y'all know for like vagina owners anywhere that you come in contact with, if you see someone that's like having bad cramps or whatever, what non-medical remedies for period cramps can you think of at the moment?
Food.
Anything, Nick?
I was about to say something cold, but I don't know if that helps.
I mean, it depends. Like, there's one of the side effects of some period cramps, especially if they're really bad. Like, you get all kinds of side effects. You got diarrhea. You got like hot. Like, I know for me, like I normally get warmer. Like my body gets warmer, and it's like almost. I wouldn't say hot flashes, but like having something cold around, depending on like where I am in that during the day. Like, it's just good to have. But one big remedy that a lot of vagina owners use because it works and it's effective is heating pads. Heating pads can be put right there. I usually put it on my stomach closer to like the uterine area and just leave it there. I'll probably sometimes, if it's that bad, I'll fall asleep with the heating pad on. It's not the safest thing to do, but like it's sometimes the only thing that'll work for me if I don't want to use. I know there's a lot of vagina owners out there that don't want to be using like a bunch of medical
pills,
pain relievers and stuff, which is fine. I mean, you'll still get through it. It's just going to be a lot harder. And I know with this world that we're living in right now, it's kind of difficult for our lives to stop while we're on our period. So we kind of have to make do and just try to find the best way of not having to feel it as much, especially if we have to continue working and doing, our jobs and everything. That's one thing during this quarantine, I've been so happy about not having to go to work while on my period. I could just sit home and just wait for it to go. Like, I can complain and everything, but it's in the comforts of my own home, and I don't have to like be around people or whatnot and just have to worry about like all the other things that come with having a period and being in public a lot. You have any questions about that, by the way? No? Okay. So, and I'll post, cause I don't know where my little list went. I had a list of things like remedies for non-medical remedies for period cramps, but that's the main one at least that's one of the main ones I use. And I think a lot of other people, actually, you know what? Forget it. I don't even remember. I have to go back and see. When in doubt, a heating pad, because you can get that anywhere and it's $40. It's not like you have to go like, it's honestly one of the cheaper things that you can get to like ensure that any of your vagina owners that are in your life will be taken care of if they're like having really bad cramps. Just having a heating pad around is essential.
Good to know.
But no problem. So I don't know if y'all are aware, and we'll kind of go into it, but the average woman or penis, well, not penis, vagina owner, they start their period normally around like age 13 to 51, which is on average 456 periods, and that means it's about 6.25 years and 2,280 days of blood, basically, throughout their entire cycle of having menstrual cycles, if that makes sense. Like, it's just a whole big cycle that starts at that age. And the average period costs for most women, like, to have periods, like, because it does cost, which I don't think should be a thing. Like, we shouldn't have to pay for period products for something that naturally happens to us. But according to the Huffington Post, it's $18,000, 171. Did I say that right? $18,171. And that's how much it normally costs on average for people who have vaginas to continue and safely and effectively have periods every month, which is weird to actually say. Now that I'm saying, I'm like, why?
That's a yearly cost, or is that
is an overall cost throughout the entirety of having, yeah. But that includes like heating pads, as I said, acne meds, because some people, their side effects are acne, panty liners so that they don't get it onto their underwear, chocolate, because that's something that a lot of vagina owners like during their periods, and like Midol or any painkiller. Actually, I will also say a disclaimer about Midol that I'm finding a lot of vagina owners don't actually like Midol. I think that they would prefer something better than that. I think Midol is just one of those things that I don't know where that came from. I personally don't like Midol. It's not strong
marketing enough. They needed to sell you that, so they
yeah. Midol is like, it's not nearly as strong as like I normally use Aleve or Tylenol, and the only reason I do that, and I should also mention this, the reason why I use that is because I'm a singer. And singers can't be using blood thinners. So ibuprofen, it's great, but it thins your blood. And I learned this in my vocal pedagogy class, but it's not good for the voice. So like, if I wanted to sing and I was on my period, I can't have ibuprofen. It's not safe for my vocal cords. And
quick
also,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I had a question.
Yeah.
You said that you don't think you should have to pay for supplies to keep up with the hygiene of a period?
Correct. Yes.
Why not?
Because it's something natural that comes out of us. It's like, and I was talking about this with somebody else, like if men and penis owners had to go with periods, because the thing is like we get free condoms all over. I mean, sometimes, yes, vagina owners do get free period products, but I feel like the only time I've ever gotten free period products was during Katrina, when I had evacuated and we just didn't have anything. And so like, people reached out to us knowing that we were of period producing age, and they asked me, and they like basically just gave us a bunch of period supplies so that we could be good. But honestly, even like, it should be, I think that there is a way for us to even get taxed. Like if everyone got taxed to like support vagina owners and having free period products being sent to us like every month or something like that. I think that would be just so much. It would, I don't know. I personally just feel as a vagina owner, it would relieve a lot of stress on people. Mm-hmm. And vagina owners. But that's just my take.
No, yeah, I understand. Yeah. So even, well, I don't have a vagina. I got a penis. But as a penis owner, my thought that comes up is that, not just vagina owners have, natural bodily functions. Everybody has natural bodily functions like sweating. So
yeah.
I told you I was gonna play devil's advocate, so I'm not being, like I said, I'm not trying to be a dick or anything. It just this question pops up in my head. If periods are a natural part of your bodily process, and sweating is a natural part of everybody's bodily process, why isn't deodorant just free?
You good? You right about that? Okay.
I mean, I gotta pay for deodorant, and men, I'm not gonna lie, some men they reek. Penis owners, let me put it that way, they just like, it is strong. I'm like, bro, have you heard of deodorant?
Yeah.
Like, I will give you some for free. And to the feminine products that are for free, I've been to a few restaurants here in Houston, and in their bathrooms they will have feminine hygiene products just sitting there ready for you to grab. So yes. I think if we do offer feminine products for free, it should be like a community thing or like a city thing, you know, just like on a individual, you know,
corporations and companies
yeah,
provide it for their clients and their employees.
Right. Like that should be part of it, and then local business owners should if you want to support people, vagina owners that have periods, you know.
Yes.
Be free. So
that's so true. I love that. Woo! Come on.
Yeah, sort of kick it down on the individual level. You know, if you want to support vagina owners in your business, then you know you have a little thing in your bathroom. But the thing I wanted to mention is it's okay that the products aren't free, but I think that there's even an extra tax on feminine products, like on tampons and pads and things like that. I think that there's an extra tax that's levied against them on top of the normal sales tax, and that I don't understand. Like, why should you have to pay extra? The pink tax.
Yes.
Well, what's up with that? Like, why do they got a pink tax?
I don't know. I've already read up on it a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to go into it on this episode because I think that that's just a bigger conversation, not just including with periods, but also just anything that women have to and vagina owners have to buy for ourselves, hair products, makeup, everything. It's just so overpriced when it doesn't have to be. Or this just overtaxed, I should say, because they know that women are going to be using it for themselves because they're trying to look a certain way, or, stuff that we'll, again, go into it on another episode, but there's a whole thing on that, and I think we'll definitely talk about it in the later episodes. But just know that there is a pink tax, that anything a woman buys is usually a little bit more sometimes than a guy or a penis owner.
Invite me to that conversation. I actually read up about that.
All right, okay, yeah, we'll get you on there. Don't worry. Cool. Well,
do you have any ideas about what they might levy a tax against that only men would buy? Because I'm trying to think of something, like fishing gear or something.
Honestly, I don't know. I wonder what kind. I mean, they had I don't know.
But like insurance wise, guys get like it's like $200 more, or like $100 more, like insurance.
What kind of insurance?
Like auto insurance.
Really?
Yeah, auto insurance. Yeah. But health insurance, women have to pay almost $200.
Well, yeah, because they have they birth out children, so like you have to be ready for that, I guess.
Oh man. So
they birth children, but you never see them spin out in their car. I never saw a girl catch them.
No, you don't. Yo, hey, guys are crazy.
Oh man. Well, so what I'm gonna do now is, just because I feel like this is just something that people are probably gonna ask me about if I don't say it. But are y'all cool with hearing this? Well, I have a story. I don't have a story about my first period, but I would like to share it with y'all if you're okay with that.
All ears.
Okay. Cool. So I've already wrote out a little timeline. So I started mine probably around, I think it was around when I was 9 years old. The only reason I remember that was that there was one thing I remembered. I remember going to the bathroom. This was while I was living at home. And my mother was sewing in the other room, because she's always sewing, and she's still sewing even as we're filming right now. Like, she's sewing. And I remember I remember sitting down, and I remember wiping myself afterwards, because, I was just like doing my thing, and I saw blood. But I wasn't sure at this point, because even at a 9-year-old, like, I was a very overweight kid, and I wasn't being fed like proper nutrition all the time. So I was getting hemorrhoids at 9 years old, basically. So I wasn't sure if it was hemorrhoids or if it was period. I think I may have known what a period was at that point, but either way, this was the first time I actually was worried that I was like bleeding, like, and I couldn't stop it. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, what's going on? Like, I don't know what it is. She like freaked out. She was like, and then she like got up and like started like giving, like, I think she like just gave me something for it or whatever. Cause at that point, I believe she was still like on her period as well. So she just had stuff ready and she gave it to me. I'm pretty sure she probably gave me a talk or something after that, but that's the one thing I can remember from one of my first, maybe it was a period. At this point, I wasn't sure if it was period or hemorrhoids, but either way, I wasn't sure. So I would say like my first periods, like after they starting to come monthly, they usually are not regular. So they were light and they were coming at different times of the month. They weren't, I wouldn't expect it every 30 days or so. I don't honestly remember it really getting regular until I got into like middle school. And when my middle school periods were happening, like I remember that's where the cramping started, because I didn't start off with having cramps. Like it just became a developing thing. Has any of your vagina owners ever described to you what cramps feel like?
Yeah, my wife suffers pretty badly during her cycle, so I get to hear a lot about it.
Do you remember exactly what she said, like how it feels?
Just excruciating pain in her ovaries.
Gotcha. And Nick, for you?
When I first met my girlfriend and she did have cramps, she got an IUD as well, but she stopped. I don't want to say she stopped. I don't know. I'm not her. I would have to ask her again. I haven't seen her have it for the most part, but you know, she would just be laying in bed. I'd be like, "You all right?" She was like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And she was like, "Nothing's wrong." And I'm like, "Well, what's going on?" And she was like, "I'm having cramps." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like, you know, I should start off with that. But you know, it's just like, the one time I asked her, I was like, "Well, what does that like feel like?" And she just said it feels like her, like someone's like just like holding you right there and just like squeezing like really hard. Like I can imagine as a penis owner, just like my imagination, like just, you know, being poked and prodded, you know, around your stomach area and just feeling it like that pressure nonstop. That's what I would imagine a period cramp would feel like. So
okay, cool.
Does that sound accurate at all? Or?
Well, I was gonna tell y'all my take on it, and I think it's a pretty accurate one because I've described it, or I've talked to other vagina owners, and I'm like, this is what it feels like, and they're like, yes. So what I think is that, have you ever had a Charlie horse?
Yeah.
It's like having a Charlie horse, but inside of, below your belly button, like in that area, like before your pelvic area, and like in the area of your belly button and your pelvic area, in the middle right there, it's like having a Charlie horse inside. And it progressive, it like happens maybe, and the thing is like, the issue is it happens, at least for me, it happens, and it'll stay there, like it'll get harder and harder, and then it'll kind of like release itself a little bit, but you can still feel it. And then it'll close up a little bit more, so you feel it more, and then it'll like subside. That's why we take the pain meds, so that we don't feel it nearly as much, because it's still happening, but our pain tolerance, you know, it helps the pain tolerance.
Is that like the uterine wall cramping up, or what is that? Like, what causes the cramps? Like, what muscle is that's cramping up?
If I'm not mistaken, yeah, it is the uterine wall is shedding, and it causes contractions within the uterus.
Okay.
Yeah. If that helps. I don't know if that really helps. I really should. What I'll do is I'll send you a link. All right.
So I'll send you a link.
I'll send you a link. So that's during middle school, that kind of happened. That was really becoming a thing. And the great thing, however, was that there were other vagina owners in my in my circle that were also going through the same thing. So like we could kind of like talk to each other and like see what each other were doing about it and whatnot. But it was definitely a time, you know, in your life where, especially as a young girl myself, we're still not completely used to like us having periods at this point. Like I know there's some vagina owners that didn't even know that it existed until it happened to them. So it's like, oh my God, I'm going to deal with this for the rest of my fertility years or something like that. And, you know, like they don't know this until it actually happens. And like, you know, trying to live a new norm that you weren't even prepared for before, you know, it's one of those things where, you know, it's a part of life. You're just growing up and everything. But I think a lot of vagina owners in particular may have felt a little bit more comfortable and ready had they had the warning before their first period, which I feel a lot of them didn't, or they just didn't have enough warning. Because I know a lot of parents or anyone that's like I would say a lot of people in their lives, like parents and whatnot, it would be like they would say something sometimes, but like they wouldn't keep saying it. And I know for me, like it's repetition for me. You gotta say it more than once in order for that to happen. But anyway, so what did I say? 51% of men believe it's inappropriate for women to refer to their menstrual cycle in the workplace. What are y'all's thoughts on that?
That's wrong. What, like, why is that? What, it doesn't, that's a natural bodily function. I mean, I think you could talk about anything at work so long as like it stays at work and it doesn't take away from the work itself, or it interferes with like customer relations. Like that's where that should stay. Now, as far as just like telling someone they shouldn't talk about something at work, like that's fine. Like I've heard worse things at work. So I don't understand how people think that, oh, you just can't speak about periods at work. Like, well, what if your coworker's having their period at work, like, and they need to address it, or say, hey, I can't stand here right now. I got to go address this in the bathroom, and they can't say the word. Like, no, just say it out loud. I mean, it's not a mystery that nobody knows that happens. So, yeah, I understand. Like, don't go into nitty gritty details and spew it out loud while we're on the phone with a customer. I get that. But talking about something at work, it's okay. It should be a safe place for your employees, you know? Just my opinion.
I think you're right, Nick. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to talk about that. And I think that 51% of the men think that you shouldn't talk about your period at work is part of the problem. I mean, we need to start talking about menstruation and cycles more. I mean, at one time, it was a very sort of magical thing that happened to women. It was revered by the culture. And now it's like this whole underground thing where you're not supposed to talk about, oh, don't say anything, she's on her period or something like that. I mean, it should be much more accepted now. I mean, I think that saying you shouldn't talk about your period at work kind of reinforces the patriarchy.
Yep, exactly. Perfect. Yes, and amen. So we could wrap up a little bit. I'm kind of curious because I always love to end with something like this. But before I go into that right quick, I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the positives of period, because I feel like we also definitely described a lot of the negatives. And this is according to medium.com. One of them is creativity. A lot of vagina owners they consider themselves to have a more creative, they feel more creative during that time. Appetite increases. Our emotions are a lot more, some of them are all over the place, but honestly, like if you're not on any medications or anything, me personally, I just feel like my emotions are heightened, but like not in necessarily, it's heightened emotions in almost a good way, if that makes sense. Our breast size is bigger, which is a plus. When it comes to working out, feels a lot more championistic, if that's even a word, because you just feel like Wonder Woman, like you've gotten through a workout and you're on your period. You feel like you're on top of the world. We have a higher pain tolerance, increased assertiveness, you know, like we're a little bit more snappy, or like we know what we want a little bit more because, you know, we have something else going on and we're just like, okay, this is what I need now or whatever. We're more self-caring about ourselves, because, you know, self-care and everything. And then increased orgasms during it, because sex is great during periods if people are into that. Have y'all experienced or dove into period sex?
I have earned my red wings, as they say.
Tried it once, I believe, but I'm okay with it. However, my significant other does not feel that she would like to do that during that time.
Okay.
I don't know how it felt for her, but yeah, to each their own. Like, no judgment. You know, I met people at college where they were just like, yeah, I don't do that. That's gross. Or some people are like, oh, it's way better during that time. And you know, I'm for the camp of like, I don't care as long as I'm cool.
Right. I think it feels the same for y'all.
Well, yeah, of course. It's just
just take a shower after, you know,
or just do it in the shower.
Oh yeah, you do that too.
Yeah.
Kill two birds with one stone.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, just you know, like some people they have a preference of like not seeing blood, and some people have blood phobia. Yeah. And she's just, you know, one of those people where like she prefers the, you know, it nice and clean and no blood. So that I respect that. So,
yeah. All right. Well, thank y'all so much for your input on everything. I feel like we could have also talked for a lot longer, but I kind of like where we're ending on this. I love to end on sex. That's my thing. We're going to talk about it a little bit more, especially on my Patreon. What I could do is, if people are interested in hearing you guys a little bit more on there, I'll invite you back so we can discuss a little bit more. But it'll be exclusively on Patreon, so y'all need to follow me on Patreon. It's a new community that I've started for the Self-Aware Millennial and the community of people that want to be self-aware but also support the show itself. You can go to Patreon. It's open, available for everybody at the moment, but when I start posting more adult themes, it's going to have to be one of those things where you have to actually type it in. You can't just search it or whatnot. But right now, what you can do is follow me on Instagram at the Self-Aware Millennial. And if you have any questions or future things you'd like to cover on the Self-Aware Millennial, you can DM me at the Self-Aware Millennial on Instagram, and you can also email me at the selfawaremillennial@gmail.com. I'm also on YouTube. At some point, I'm working on getting another computer so that I can visually show you guys this awesome conversation that I had with Nick and Jamie. And yeah, this is going to be great. I love this little conversation that we had. Thank y'all so much for coming. And I really hope that this was educational for you. I hope that this will encourage you to speak to your other penis-owning friends and tell them about this show and see if they got any questions for me. Like, I'm always open for questions. And I'll still be doing some more period polls just so that I can have more knowledge. And as I was saying to the listeners on the other episode, I had a whole big response, and I think y'all might have been part of that response, of like just the first time that you found out about periods. And it was the comments that I had were very wild, and I'm planning to put them on the Instagram page. Since they're already anonymous, you can just go through and read, you know, some of the other experiences. But yeah, thank y'all so much.
No problem.
This was fun.
Hey, thanks for having us on, and it was really nice to meet you, Nick.
Nice to meet you, JB.